Let's move on. Democratic presidential hopeful Michael Bloomberg looks like he wants to become the crypto candidate, calling for clear regulatory framework for digital assets. And for more on this, we're joined by Stephen Palley, a partner at Anderson Kill. Stephen, it's nice to have you back.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
So while Bloomberg hasn't unveiled a specific plan, what does his willingness to address Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies broadly say about its relevance in the political sphere?
That's a great question. I mean, I think at this point, it shows that, at least with respect to Bitcoin, it's just something that's not going to go away. I said this a year and a half ago in the middle of crypto winter. I think Bitcoin is here to stay. The fact that 11 years, not even 11 years after Satoshi's white paper, the fact that people on a presidential debate stage are talking about it is a sign of its endurance and the fact that in one form or another, it's not going anywhere soon.
I want to show our viewers the statement from the Bloomberg camp on this, saying cryptocurrencies have become an asset class worth hundreds of billions of dollars, yet regulatory oversight remains fragmented and undeveloped. For all the promise of blockchain, Bitcoin, initial coin offerings, there's also plenty of hype, fraud, and criminal activity. So when we finally do see a plan, given this statement from the campaign, where do you expect them to line up? What are the things that they should prioritize as part of this plan?
Sure, I think, I mean, personally, one of the areas that we hear a lot of people talking about the SEC and securities, and we can talk a little bit about a recent development from the SEC, from Commissioner Hester Peirce. But I think one of the areas that has not received enough attention is the Bank Secrecy Act, and that is a federal law, and I'm going to oversimplify this a little bit, that governs money transmission and governs licensure and reporting requirements, something that our banks have to comply with. But right now it applies really broadly to crypto transactions, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense. So that's an area, and it's something that is controlled by FinCEN, government agency. So that's one area where we need help. Another area where we desperately need help and a little more clarity is with the Internal Revenue Service. As a lawyer who represents people in the space, I have much more concern about the IRS and FinCEN than I do about the SEC or the CFTC. So I would say tax and in our money transmission laws and regulations.
Do you expect these to be issues that we hear a little bit more about between now and November, or do you think that this was Bloomberg's way of just, I mean, it was not that long ago that Trump came out and said, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Do you think it's just his way of kind of countering Trump like that?
It might be. I mean, it might also be, you know, it's Bloomberg is someone who created a news and technology company. He's someone who understands technology, he understands innovation, and if it is a message that resonates with a demographic that he wants to grab for voting purposes, I think he'll hammer on it. I mean, the question is, you know, how big of a vertical is this from a voting standpoint and from a technology standpoint? How much will he want to focus on that as opposed to kitchen table issues like healthcare, taxes, and so forth? So I wouldn't be surprised to see more. I would certainly welcome it. Certainly, I think people in the industry would welcome it, but it's hard to say how much he will focus on that.
Whether it's Bloomberg or somebody else, it's clear that there can't be a forward path for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies without more regulation now.
Well, I think I might actually take issue with that.
Okay, why is that?
Well, I think Bitcoin is done well. It's a valuable asset that's been flirting around $10,000 per Bitcoin for the last couple weeks.
Sure.
And it has done that within an existing legal and regulatory framework. So, you know, my devil's advocate argument is to people in this space, like, do you really want more laws? Do you really want more regulation? Or does our existing system work well enough? I think people who are interested in seeing a Bitcoin ETF would say the process is too slow. And I would also say that one area where I think we could use improvement is with the no action letter response timeframe. So for viewers, if you want to get clarity from the SEC about, for example, whether or not your token is or is not a security, and you don't want to take a risk, you can ask them to write a letter. You can write a letter to them asking them to confirm that your asset is not a security, and that takes a long time, and it's expensive. So those are areas there's sort of an existing framework that maybe works, and there are potentially some tweaks that need to happen and take place.
At the most base level, the existential idea for a decentralized currency, a cryptocurrency, it's so highly technical. We are not going to explain this to all of Americans between now and November, but do you think that Bloomberg, or the people around him at least, a team of people that have made billions off of fiat currencies, understand the nature of what we're talking about when we talk about cryptocurrency?
I think they understand money, and I think they understand making money. So I think if they see this as a way to make money, if they see this as an engine for growth, for building capital, generating capital, yeah, I think they'll be for it. It's straight up capitalism. I mean, one of the interesting developments related to this sort of regulatory development question is, I don't know if you've talked about this on the program before, but Commissioner Hester Peirce, also known as Crypto Mom on Twitter, she had a speech a few weeks ago, and in a connection with that speech, she proposed a new safe harbor rule or exemption for cryptocurrencies, and sort of long story short, TLDR, if you can, under this proposed safe harbor exemption, which hasn't gone into law yet, people who complete the correct form and are certain that within 3 years their asset will be sufficiently decentralized can sell tokens without having to go through all of the current rigmarole for securities issuance. I think if that happens, good or bad, we will see an ICO, it will make the ICO craze of 2016, 17, 18 look like nothing. It will be a massive land grab. Everybody in the Great Aunt Flora is going to be selling a token.
Oh, okay.
So back to your question though, if they see a way to make money, I think they'll be for it.
All right, Stephen Palley, who's the partner at Anderson Kill, joining us here today. Thanks so much, Steve.
It's my pleasure.
Great to see you.
Always glad.